Techfor ID.
Techfor ID.
Techfor ID.
Technology for Indonesia.
Technology for Indonesia.
Technology for Indonesia.
Technology for everyone.
Technology for everyone.
Technology for everyone.
Hello everyone, how are you guys today? Welcome back to another live Tech Talk session by Tech for ID. And today we are going to talk about how fintech is disrupting traditional financial services. I'm Intan and I'm going to be your host today. And as usual, Tech for ID has always been bringing a lot of inspirational people and also the best people in the industry from around the globe to talk to you about technology. And today we have this amazing speaker with us. We want to say hello to Miss Guneet Kaur, CBCA, CMSA. Hello, Miss Guneet.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here with us. So everyone, Ms. Guneet Kaur, CBCA, CMSA, is a research analyst on DeFi, cryptocurrency, and blockchain at accounting.com. Am I right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, I work in the new era of decentralized finance, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain to see like how the financial system is upgrading itself. Yeah.
It is very interesting, and we have
Yeah.
such an interesting topic today. We are looking forward to talk to you. So, Ms. Guneet, we would love to know more about you. So, would you please give us a little bit of more background of yourself, please? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So basically, talking about me and my academic background, I'm done my MBA in finance and marketing. After that, I worked as a global client and partner business manager with the Singapore-based multinational company for almost 2 years. And my journey from traditional banking to fintech is like for me is very inspiring as well as encouraging, and it's like a journey which involves lots and lots of learning for me and for others as well. Being from a completely non-technical background to a completely technical background was not an easy journey for me, but I really enjoyed it and I learned from it, which made me do another master's from UK in masters in financial technology. And after that, I have been working in the research area only, like how we can improve the traditional financial services with the technology. So yeah, in the past, since the past 2 3 years, I have been working in the research area only. For example, I have been writing books as well, partnering with the
Wow.
IGI Global USA. Recently, I've just like completed strategic analytics book. I have written 2 chapters for that book. I have also written 1 chapter for EdTech book, which is going to be world's first crowdsourced book, and it's going to be launched, I think, by the end of this year. So yeah, there's lots and lots of research, learning from mistakes, and giving back to the community. That's what I can say.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And we are very delighted to have you here because listening to all your backgrounds, oh wow. We just cannot wait to learn all of those things that you have learned. So
Yeah.
please feel free to pour everything that you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for you guys who are listening and tuning in today, don't forget to get your notes. And
Yeah.
yeah, let's start with the most fundamental question here. So,
Mhm.
would you please give us a brief explanation of what is fintech and the types of fintech?
Yeah, so talking about the fintech, the word itself says fin and tech. So it's a contraction of finance and technology in a to like for a layman to understand, like it's the use of technology in the financial services industry, resulting in the introduction of new and innovative products as well as services. So the question which emerged is why it is introduced, how it is emerged. So according to me, what I have seen from my experience, it has emerged because of the technology, like big data, lots and lots of data the banks have, and they were not using that data to come up with the best insights so that they can create valuable products. So this is how fintech companies are disrupting the traditional banking financial services. The other thing is the demographics, the rise of millennials. So they want a best kind of customer experience, and they don't they are no longer interested in using the traditional banking services like going to the bank for depositing money or withdrawing money or something like that. Also, like mobile banking financial services, I think are more cheaper than the traditional banking financial services.
Yeah.
And the people who are, unbanked since long, they want to use the traditional banking financial services now. And recently, as we are supposed to follow the lockdown measures, I believe the only way to use the banking services is through mobile app and something like that. So yeah, so this is how this thing has emerged, and the people are using it by choice. Nobody's forcing them to use it. They are using it by choice now. And the types of fintech, I believe there are not like particular types of fintech according to me, because it's about the perspective, like how people perceive this word, this innovation, this technology, these forms. So yeah, there are no particular types. They are differentiated by the types of services they provide. Some of the companies, they are totally into digital payment services. Some of the companies, they are into investment services. For example, the other ones provide regulation technology services, like how you can improve the regulations with the technologies. And there is another like application of which I believe fintech services is very important is crowdfunding platforms. Like traditionally, the entrepreneurs, they need to meet a venture capitalists in person and go through
Sure.
various kind of processes, like
Yeah.
which takes time, efforts, and I think involves lots and lots of money. So now, like they can just use platforms like Funding Circle to raise money from the people who have enough money to invest into their ventures. Yeah.
That is amazing. So yeah, so fintech is pretty broad, yeah?
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
pretty.
broad, it's really broad.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think about fintech as an innovation, as the future of money or mode to bring social change?
Okay, so that's really interesting. I would say, like, there is no particular answer to this question, I believe, because these terms, innovation, future of money, and mode of bringing social change, again, are the three perspectives of for fintech. Maybe I believe it is an innovation, you believe it as a future of money, and third, someone else believe it's a mode of bringing change. So these
Yeah.
three are different from each other. But yes, the fintech is obviously, providing three of them altogether. So I will explain like these three terms one by one as an innovation, feature of money, and mode of bringing social change. So beginning with the technology part, the innovation part. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe fintech as an innovation is a technology-enabled innovation which aims to correct the inefficiencies in the global financial system caused by the global financial crisis of 2007 to 8. If we remember that time, what has happened in the world, the whole global financial system was shaken, and one of the worst, I think, financial bankruptcy in the world was Lehman Brothers. That happened because there nobody was held accountable for it, and these big dinosaurs. So don't confuse the dinosaurs with the one in the Jurassic Park. In the banking world, the dinosaurs are like the big banks, like the Lehman Brothers. Currently, we can say HSBC Bank, JP Morgan Bank. So the fintech as an innovation is going to make I would say it's going to completely disrupt is going to hold the traditional banking systems accountable for what they are doing, all the back end scenes, I would say. Yeah. So it is allowing the banks to adapt to the changing business environment, so that they can completely change the banking system and provide innovative financial services to the customers. And as a future of money, how fintech is important, as I have already explained, there are various applications of fintech. One of them is crowdfunding platforms. So these kind of platforms, allow entrepreneurs to or early stage business providers to raise funds from over the world. So so this is how now fintech is making use of globalization as well. Everything is connected, and though the fintech entrepreneurs do not want to restrict it to a particular country or particular kind of people. So it is opening more and more space for the people. Another thing is mobile payments. Now people do not need to go to banks in person, and they can just transfer money from their mobile phones, or maybe using their any kind of devices they use. The other thing fintech can be seen as a future of money is like one of its applications as a robo advisors. So now me as an investor do not need brokers. I do not need to pay too much money to the brokers. I can use the online forms like Robinhood so for them to that application to act as a robo advisor and advise me for my investment services. And the another thing is insurance, I think, is very important in the financial services industry. So yeah, the another application of fintech, how it is disrupting the future of money is by providing insurtech services. So I if I need insurance, I do not need to depend upon the traditional long and long processes. I can just use the companies which are currently available in the market and providing the insurtech services. And the another thing, how it is bringing the social change, I believe we can the recent example that we have is the COVID-19 crisis. So amidst the COVID-19 outbreak, many banks were forced to close their several branches, which were the primary point of contact for the customers. So now fintech startups have been able to fill the gap left by those kind of traditional banks, and allowing people to abide by the social distancing regulations, and still making them use the financial services in difficult times. So it is likely that many customers who began using fintech during COVID, they are going to continue using it by choice now. Nobody is forcing them. They are happy to use those services. Yeah.
True, true. Like it is very helping.
Yeah.
It is very exciting to see the shift that we are having of having all these traditional services, and
Hmm.
then it's just really changed our whole life on our
Yeah.
day-to-day basis. It's amazing. And so
Yeah.
when did fintech start to significantly shift the world's financial systems?
Yeah.
When did it start?
Okay, so this thing is, according to me, what I believe is it's not nothing new. It is just that now we are getting to recognize this thing. I believe it was back in 1950s when we had a credit card. I think credit card, one of world's first credit card, which is Diners Club. I think it was introduced in 1950s. So I believe it is not something new that we have currently with us. It is just that we have started to recognize it now, because the world is changing. People are also changing their mindset, and everybody has if they don't have access to anything, everybody has access to smartphone. And that is why companies are also making use of it. They are finding loopholes in the traditional banking system and providing these services. For example, according to me, I believe one of the best thing that fintech is providing is the open banking system. So previously banks were not open to the, for example, I am the customer of bank, you're also the customer of bank. We don't know what they are doing with our data. So now the open banking is forcing banks to give their data to the third parties so that they can provide better services than they are providing. So this is how this shift is happening. It is not something new. It is just that we are now recognizing it at a very, very, very larger scale and very, very higher pace.
I really love how fintech companies are really trying to fill in the loophole that you said before. So it's very
Mhm.
customer oriented. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah.
And is fintech a threat to traditional banks?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I would say, and think is one of my favorite question as well, because in one of my chapter I have already did some research on it. So I have very different, maybe I have very different viewpoint on it, because I believe if something is threat to you, that helps you to improve. So that I think in that way. So threat is not always negative, it is positive as well. So yeah, so there is an ever changing landscape, but the known threats to the banks posed by fintech generally hinge on giving customers viable alternatives to lucrative services like foreign exchange services, investment advices, or some people say it as a robo advice, and providing customers with the tools to effectively avoid taking on bad credit or falling into their overdraft. So yes, that's why I say there's not always negative thing which is linked to the threat. There are positive sides as well, because fintech help customers to not go beyond than they should be. So with the, as I have already explained about the open banking, that's one of my favorite example. Maybe I'm going to say it again and again. So with the advent of open banking, which is forcing banks to open up their valuable customer data to third parties, the threat of fintech has never been so real. That's what I think. So one of the biggest areas where fintechs have distinguished themselves is by providing really higher standard of customer care and taking the customer first centric approach when it comes to design and delivery of their products and services. So on an extension level, fintech is changing the way people think about financial services entirely, raising the bar when it comes to expectations of digital products, customer services, as well as transparency. So yes, it is a threat to financial services, but a positive threat to let them adapt to the changing business environment, changing banking environment, or like I always think fintech banks, or sorry, traditional banks as dinosaurs. So when we compare the dinosaurs, which is an animal, to the dinosaurs, which are traditional banks, so those dinosaurs, they completely became extinct because they were not able to adjust according to the new environmental changes. So the dinosaurs in the banking industry, that is the traditional banks, so these dinosaurs, they need to adapt. So that is why this threat is helping them to adapt to the changing banking ecosystem. So yes,
That is a very interesting way to see it. Wow. And
yeah.
what are your thoughts on fintech and banks collaboration?
Yes, I think it is very important um, from many points of view. So for banks, this new normal marks the end of fintech experimentation. Previously, banks, what I believe, banks were just doing a kind of experimentation with the fintech companies. Okay, let's partner for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, and then okay, to just see like how this goes on. But now I believe COVID-19 has completely marked the end of fintech experimentation. So, over the past few years, banks have been obsessed with fintech partnerships. It's been a way of convincing themselves and their boards that they are re innovating and not getting left behind as the industry goes on a digital transformation. So, too many of these efforts, however, have had little impact on the strategic direction. Number two, I would say the organization culture, as well as the very important aspect, bottom line of the banking institutions. So for banks, partnerships won't generate the quantum leap they need to move beyond a product centric mentality to deliver next generation services. At best, they may gain a workable solution that squats awkwardly in the existing infrastructure. At first, they fail to deliver any noticeable difference. So the luxury of, I would say, experimenting fintech is completely gone now. So this is the time then banks will need to accelerate their investments in fintech to achieve both the top line increases and their services expense reductions needed to maintain their margins as well as profitability, which is very important for banking institutions. So for banks, this is the new normal quality, which has become a key success metric, I would say. So the potential of digital financial services in providing low cost, secure, and contactless financial tools has ever become more important prior to the crisis, during the crisis, as well as after the crisis. The resilience is on the convenience now that the fintech companies can provide. So the prospect for fintech startups has never been better, especially for those looking for banks as customers. So the banks and the fintech collaboration is a win-win situation for both of them. The fintechs looking for customers as banks, and the banks looking to disrupt the traditional financial services.
There are a lot of interesting pointers that you have been giving. So, wow. And can fintech really increase the speed of turnover and improve people's economy, as there are successful cases of fintech helping economic growth of the lower economic class community?
Yes, I believe the first point we have already discussed was fintech as a innovation. So as I have explained, like fintech is a technological innovation. So the role of technology in community development is to give the power and the voice to people within such a huge ecosystem. It enables citizens to create a better future for themselves. It makes them aware of what is going on, what bank is doing with their money, what they expect from bank. So I believe fintech helps in achieving number one, financial inclusion, because I there are many countries that were struggling to achieve financial inclusion. They were like asking people to use the banking services, but people were reluctant to use the financial services because of so and so reasons. I believe there are like different perspectives of people for not using the financial services. Or the first one is the previous global financial crisis, or for example, me as an immigrant, though I don't have that perspective, but just see like if I am an immigrant from my country to another country, maybe I don't have my documents ready to open the bank account. So the time gap between those things, maybe that restricts me in using the banking services. So fintech companies are very quick. Okay, you have your one identity document, see the PayPal. We just need to update our identity document, maybe my resident card or something like that, my driving license. So yeah, so that helps companies improving the financial inclusion thing. And taking COVID-19 as an example, so fintech helps in achieving financial inclusion without involving any physical contact. It also ensures continuity of financial activities, doesn't matter some crisis happen or something else situation which is out of control. It also helps to achieve financial stability, because again, open banking is allowing banks to forcing banks to show their data to disclose their data to third parties to make use of it. The another thing, it helps banks to achieve and deliver efficient and secured financial services. It also helps in reducing the spread of uh, the harmful viruses like COVID-19. So, yes, it helps banks to increase their turnover with the successful partnerships, or I would say strategic collaboration with the fintech companies, as well as achieve the economic growth. Because if the viruses like COVID-19 is completely disrupting all the industries, all the works, not allowing people to work. And if the whole financial system gets disturbed, the economy will get disturbed as well. But these kind of companies let banks, financial companies go in the flow and helps economy to be in line. Yeah, and this is how it is helping people's economy to grow as well as to grow their economy.
Talking about inclusivity, can fintech be applied in countries whose population are not fully digitalized?
I believe no, not at the moment, because yeah, for example, there was something I have read about is like that is one of the, because see, the things which have positives they have negatives as well. So this is one of the negative point of fintech, that it creates digital divide. In the like business terms, we call it as a digital divide. Like the people who do not have access to smartphones or
Mhm.
the technological things, they cannot use these kind of services. So yeah, this is where this thing is very negative. But yes, if there is something which is lagging behind, so I believe the governments or the people who are responsible for these kind of things, they need to take steps to, helping people to use. For example, one of the best thing they can do is they can provide like smartphones to the people so that they can have access to these kind of services. And I believe some of these smartphones are not that expensive that the governments of the countries cannot afford them. So they can just, for example, right now, like they are disrupting the healthcare system. Same thing goes with financial services as well. So they need to do the same steps, take the same steps for financial services as well.
That's very interesting. Talking about countries and governments, who are the top five countries that has been benefiting from fintech systems? Like the top five provider and the top five user countries.
Mhm. One of them is UK for sure. Then United States, I believe. Yeah, Australia, New Zealand, and China.
The obvious ones.
Yeah, the most
Sure.
obvious. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So, are there good examples of how any government in the world could control
Mhm.
fintech and protect people's interests? As we know that on some cases, for example, loan interest can be high, and some other cases there could be fraud, etc. Is there any, way for government to control it?
Yeah, the one of the way that government can control is, and the power of government lies is to impose the compliance on the fintech firms. For example, talking about the UK Financial Conduct Authority is the topmost authority. Like all the fintech companies or all the banking or whatever companies or banks they operate in the banking ecosystem, they need to abide by the rules of Financial Conduct Authority. So we have here Revolt and Monzo Bank as an example of fintech companies that provide digital payment systems or the transfer services across to the customers. So those two companies, they have to follow the rules and regulations or the compliance requirements of Financial Conduct Authority, so that the people can be protected and they have the trust in the fintech services. Because the global financial crisis has already, people have already lose their interest in the banking system because of the global financial crisis. So yes, now the governments or the topmost bodies who are responsible for protecting the interest of the customers, they need to impose, compliance on these companies. Yeah, so as an example, I remember last year, Robinhood crashes 3 times last year, March
Three
4, 5.
times. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, during crisis time, May
All right.
17, I guess. So so the like the topmost authority, they like forced Robinhood to pay back to the customers, because many people loses lots of money due to those crashes. That was ultimately not the issue with the customers only, because they are using some services, and it is the responsibility of the service provider to ensure that its system is resilient and is strong in its terms. So yes, this is how the governments can be sure that the people are protected in the best way.
Your answer actually is answering my next question. But
Okay.
like besides the things that you have explained, are
Mhm.
there also type of policies that can be a good example for governments to support fintech growth, as it clearly brings positive solution to the society?
Yes. Um, okay, maybe I'm going to give here a new track to the discussion. So whenever like people used to ask me, what are you doing these days, or what industry you work in? And whenever I say like I work in fintech, okay, so you are working in Bitcoin. Oh no, 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 I'm not working in Bitcoin. So this is I used to, this is, my first reaction was, people always say like fintech is Bitcoin, but it's not
Mhm.
Bitcoin. Fintech is much more beyond than Bitcoin. Bitcoin
Sure.
is one of the example of cryptocurrencies, and cryptocurrencies are part of the fintech ecosystem. So yeah,
Exactly.
this is where lack of I would say knowledge, something, there's a gap.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So the one of the problem with cryptocurrencies is there is no regulation behind it. So if we see like since they have introduced to this world, lots and lots of happening with them. One of the main problem that I came across is money laundering, like
Mm.
laundering of bitcoins, like depositing in one wallet, transferring to another, maybe transferring to another countries as well. So, because of lack of the regulation by any central authority, maybe bank or government, they are prone to money laundering things. So, this is where the policies that government can build for fintech companies, for example, the companies that are particularly into providing cryptocurrencies, for example, Coinbase or Binance, as an example. So, the government should make policies in specifically related to the money laundering regulations, which are called as AML, anti-money laundering
Okay.
regulations. So
Okay.
yes, so the companies like Coinbase or Binance, so that they must abide by the AML regulations, so that people can be protected in a more efficient and more transparent way, I would say. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, so since this is a live session, I am going
Mhm.
to check on some questions on YouTube Live. So there's a question here. What
Mhm.
work on fintech has the IMF produced to date?
Sorry, IMS.
IMF?
Okay, International Monetary Fund.
Yes.
To be frank,
Mhm.
I don't have like a specific answer to it, because there's lots and lots of going in this world about these things. So for example, IMF or all the top authorities like FCA, they work together, they create policies, they make the regulations stricter and stricter day by day. So yes, there is no specific answer to this question, I would say.
All right. So another question. What are the top financial technology nowadays?
Okay, that's I think very interesting question. So there are, like me, million or billions of people have done same thing. How I am different, how I'm going to make myself different than other people. I believe one of the things that I always say to people who talk to me, like we update ourselves on a daily basis, maybe it's related to our phones, iPhone 12, 13, 14, whatever it is, or our fashion sense. Like this, we must update ourselves in terms of our knowledge as well, because Google cannot give all the answers in life. Ultimately, we can learn is from each other. So this is what my answer is
True.
regarding.
That is really really true. Even though that we have everything in our hands right now, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
still things that we really have to learn. So
Yeah.
all right. So as a lot of fintech startups are struggling to compete with the big players in the industry, can you give some pointers on how fintech companies can sustain in the digital space?
Yes. One of the best way to do is, as I have explained, to create a win-win situation for both traditional banks as well as for themselves, is through strategic collaboration. Because see, the banks, they operate at a very, very, very large scale, right? So the fintech companies, maybe they don't have enough resources in terms of technologies, in terms of finance. So this is how they can collaborate with banks and sustain in the digital space. Another thing is they need to build a very, very strong infrastructure so that their infrastructure is as resilient as the traditional banking services. Another thing is, very important thing is, they must abide by the compliance requirements of the countries wherever they are operating so that they can sustain in the future, because government or any financial authority is going to only support this kind of innovation if they follow their regulations or the compliance things. Yes, these are
True.
the 3 points that they need to be very, very careful about.
That is very, very interesting. Thank you for those pointers. Maybe this can be really, really helpful for a lot of people who are watching this.
Yeah.
All right. And what are some of the best fintech companies' key strategies to always bring innovations?
Mhm. Okay. One of the key strategy that the companies follow is completely customer centric approach. Like they care about the customers. They no longer like care for only profits or making money for themselves like traditional banks do. For example, if I talk about the funding circle, which is a peer-to-peer marketplace or lending platform, so what it does, it lend to individuals or businesses through online services that match lenders with borrowers. So borrowers and lenders do not need to go to some bank or meet or follow the cumbersome processes like that. So this is how they are very good in terms of design and delivery of the product. So yeah, that makes them different than the traditional services. So yes, the only simple in simple terms, the answer is the completely customer centric approach. They care about the customers, they care about the customer service experience. That is why people want to use those services.
That is very interesting. It is also encouraging a lot of companies to actually dig into the
Yes.
societies and really helping people out of
Yeah.
their day-to-day problems, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
And
these
mhm,
companies are behind, uh, I think, finding the problems that exist and then finding ways to solve those problems. I believe this is what entrepreneurship is all about. It's not like
exactly.
coping, which already something which already exists. It's about coming up with something that people care about, that people want, and which is going to solve their problems.
This is the energy that we need for
Yeah,
our
yeah,
future, like
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, exactly.
So apart from the benefits, what are the main risks in fintech?
Yeah, so exactly, because the things that comes with benefits, that it comes with
Yeah.
some risk as well. Yeah. So yeah, one of the thing is most of the platforms are very anonymous. Like people do not, for example, blockchain is completely anonymous. So like I'm anonymous, you are anonymous, we don't know each other. So crime is increasing at a larger pace, like because of the, I would say, not recognizable identity of the people. So yes, one of these, this is one of the risk of fintech companies. The another one is the lack of government intervention, because yes, there are not any specific regulations for fintech yet in many countries. Now, since it is a technological innovation, it runs by the technology. So if there is any kind of technological failure, so that's going to completely disrupt the system, like it happened with Robinhood last year. So yes,
Yeah.
these are some of the risks. Yes, with the fintech companies.
And how each stakeholder, for example, the government and then companies, businesses, and user can mitigate the cybersecurity challenges regarding fintech.
Mhm. Okay, so one of the thing to reduce the cybersecurity challenges, as I have explained, is the AML regulations, anti-money laundering regulations to reduce the crime. and to improve and to reduce the cybersecurity challenges is to build their ecosystems very resilient, strong infrastructure. And how they can build their infrastructure strong is again with the help of technology. Like there are many technologies, as I have explained, like machine learning or artificial intelligence. So they can build systems with those technologies that can warn them before something happens, like a kind of alarming system for them. So yeah, they need to build their infrastructures very strong to help avoid these things in the future.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So, who is, or like what country that is very in the front in this type of cybersecurity for fintech?
One is United States and the other one is UK, because I work in the most of the like UK ecosystem, so I'm much aware of the things which are going in here. So yes, I have seen like Financial Conduct Authority is very strict in terms of the working of the fintech companies. Like it is very much ahead in charging them for failures or like penalties for any wrongdoings with the customers. So yeah.
Okay, so considering the large market of the world, what does it need for a fintech company to be able to grasp a deeper and a wider market?
In which part? Sorry, Europe, you mean?
Considering the large market of the world, what does it
Mhm.
need for a fintech company to be able to grasp deeper and wider market?
Okay. So in order to grasp the larger market or to have like more and more people to use these kind of services, one of the most important thing is market research to see where is the gap or like which kind of services are required to meet the challenges. I would like to give an example here. Back in 2019, I participated in a financial inclusion hackathon here in the UK. So the theme of the hackathon was related to financial inclusion. So like many people from the academics and from the industries came together, and we spent like 3 days together in the teams to solve to came up with the solutions how we can solve the financial exclusion problem in the UK. So this make me think that whether it is a developed country or it is a developing country, like developed country like UK or developing country like India, the problem is same. Doesn't matter. We have like financial exclusion everywhere. So that during those 3 days, we need to solve the come up with the solution to solve this problem. So me and together with my teammates, so we like propose a solution. So I cannot name it right now because we are working on this and we are going hoping to launch it very soon in the future.
Ooh, good luck
Maybe by
for
the end of,
that.
yeah, thank you so much. Maybe by the end of this year. So we came up with some kind of solution like that we can help people, basically the migrants that come up to UK and they like face issues in opening their bank accounts, or the people that do not have a good credit history and the bank doesn't allow them to open a bank account. So this is where we did number one, the market research, number two, what is there in the market, the competitors and where they lag behind, and number three, how we fit in this ecosystem. So these were the steps that we follow. This is how the other companies or the people who want to enter into this field, um, as we all know, Porter's five forces analysis, one of the most important tool for
Yeah.
people who want to enter into some kind of business. So I believe always do your homework before you get into something. And doing your Porter's five forces is one of the best way of doing your homework to see do you have any threat of entrance if you enter into this kind of companies, or like what are the substitutes available, bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, and how intense are the rivalries in the fintech ecosystem.
That is a very valuable experience that you share right there.
Yeah,
So we
thank
have
you.
another question right
Yeah.
here. So the question is, do you think blockchain and fintech are relatable? If yes, what is blockchain fintech?
Yes, I believe blockchain and fintech are related because see, um, fintech is the term, okay,
Yeah.
technology that we can like thought in a different way, and blockchain is the technology that supports the fintech. So
Mm.
fin is the finance, and tech we can see like is the blockchain behind finance, or
Ah.
which is improving the financial services. So what blockchain in fintech is, we can like think in terms of the, okay, one of the best example that I can give here is in the stock market. So I have done basically a project on it, like how fintech blockchain goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have one of the use case, I have done research on the use case which is in the stock market. So in the stock market, what we can see is, um, I bought securities, okay, and then I sold. For example, I sold to you. So I sold to you today. So
Mm-hmm.
they are going to settle after T plus 2 days. This is the settlement period for the securities, T plus two, right? So how blockchain can help solve this issue is, see, blockchain is a chain of blocks which is connected together. So we do not need the intermediaries that need to authenticate the trade after 2 days. So in a chain of blocks, me as a seller, you as a buyer, the for example the authorities like financial conduct authority or the treasuries or the custodians, they are also connected in a block of chain. So all of us know each other in a block of chain. We do not need to wait for that T plus 2 days to for me to receive money from you and for you to receive stocks from me. So this is how blockchain can help. When I am going to sell my securities to you, or you are going to buy securities from me, these organizations who need to authenticate of my trade, they can do that in real time. We do not need to wait for 2 days. So this is how blockchain is disrupting the financial services, basically the stock market.
Traditional. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So one of the best example that I can also give here, like which is already happening in this world, is the chess program by Australia. So they are
What is
working
that?
on this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a program like they are using blockchain basically for stock market only. They are developing a blockchain ecosystem where like the trade can be settled in real time, so that people, buyers and sellers, they do not need to wait for another 2 days to get their trade settled. Me, when I just sell my securities, I receive funds in my account, and when you buy securities from me, you can get securities in your account, everything in real time instantly. So this is what blockchain means in the fintech space.
That's very interesting. So, what is your hope to the fintech world and for the people in the future?
I believe me as a person who has something to brought to this world by the end of this year or maybe next year, I am very optimistic about it. But being optimistic doesn't mean that things are always on track. So me, or the other people who are working in this area, we need to be aware of what's going on in this world, particularly in terms of regulations and compliance, so that we are like following these regulations and the compliance, so that we do not get behind the other people in this area. And yeah, these are my hopes. Like it is the thing which is going to completely change the financial services. but it is not going to make them extinct for sure. It is only going to help banks improve themselves or through strategic partnerships or collaborations. Yeah, because we are also doing something in collaboration with some banks only. So I believe me or my teammates, we cannot do everything on our own because
Mhm.
everybody has a knowledge in different areas. And for fintech startups, it is very important, like they should be backed by banks because they have the things that we do not have. First, uh, basically in terms of financial crime, because fintech startups are mostly known for increasing financial crime. So this is where banks can back up them, like because they have the systems, the compliance, and the regulations to help fintech companies protect the interest of the customers.
All right, so it is very interesting because many people think that fintech will replace bank completely, and your
No,
state,
I
yeah.
don't. I don't agree with this statement
Mhm.
because see the banks which have been in years of operation since like 200 years or maybe more, they cannot be extinct in a blink of an eye, right? There
Yeah.
must be some case study like Lehman Brothers, which happened during a financial crisis. Then we can say that yes, the government doesn't back up that bank that time, US government. That's why it
Mhm.
become extinct. But yes, currently, because see, banks are also changing their mindset. They are also innovating. They are also partnering with the fintech companies. So they are not going to be extinct for sure. They are going to improve themselves.
As long as we collaborate, yeah.
Yes, yes. Or they have something to come up with, or they
True.
have something to, so that they can like bring something new to this world to change the customer experience, I would say.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Gunet. It has been such a very insightful talk that we have today with you. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, experience that you share with us today. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, Miss Gunet, may I ask you to say the tagline of Tech for ID? So, yeah, the tagline, if you're quite confused what it is, don't worry, because I will tell you.
Uh-huh.
So the
Okay.
tagline is Tech for ID,
Uh-huh.
technology for Indonesia,
So,
technology for everyone.
okay. Yeah. So I think, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. So I think the platform is very important for the people who want to know the things which are going on in this world, and for the person who likes to share their ideas. So this is where I believe Tech for ID is bridging the gap, providing the platform to the people who wants to share their ideas and the people who wants to know what is behind like many technologies. Or yes, so yes, I would say that is where Tech for ID, technology for Indonesia, where is. Yeah, thank you so much for having me
Thank you
today
so
and
much.
your time.
Thank you so much. And by the way, we want to appreciate whatever the things that you are doing. And yeah, we really appreciate all of the knowledge that you have shared to us. So thank you so much, Miss Gunet Kaur.
Yeah,
We wish you a good health and abundance and blessings all the way.
yeah, thank you
All
so
right.
much for having me today. Thank you for your time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Hope to
Thank
do some session again in the future with you. It was really enjoyable for me as well.
exactly, me too. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning in with us today. And yeah, if you guys miss out anything from the talk today, don't worry because you guys can always see it again in the future. But don't forget to subscribe to Tech for ID's YouTube channel because yeah, if you
Yeah,
guys miss Gunet Kaur, you can
yeah.
absolutely go there and check it.
Yeah, I'm going
Or
to drop my email
mhm.
to the YouTube comments. So if somebody has any question for me or want to discuss something in this area, so I'm open for that, and you are free to email me.
That is very sweet of you. And would you please also tell us about any other platform maybe that people can reach you out?
I have my Twitter account as well. I'm going to drop everything in the YouTube comments. I think that's
Oh,
going to
sure,
be easy for
sure.
everyone to, yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank
Miss
you so
Guneet
much.
Kaur.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a good day.
Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye bye.